Here we are, the very last video segment pertaining to contracts. I know you're so excited that this is almost the end. Can I get a woohoo? Yes, thank you very much. This is the end of Chapter 19. We're talking about breach of contract and what type of remedies are available to people. After we do all of Chapter 19, this covers the first part of Week 13. The latter part of the week 13, on Thursday, April 16th, you're going to have a test which will cover chapters 15 through 19. It will be in the quizzes section of Canvas and it will be done through Honor Lock, just like we did with test number 3. So good luck to you, all of you, on that. And let's finish up Chapter 19. We were talking about types of remedies that are available to people when there is a breach of contract. We initially talked about remedies of law, which specifically are money damages and a whole types of money damages, regular damages, consequential damages, stuff like that. We then moved on to remedies in equity, what people request when a remedy of law, money damages, just won't do it. And we covered specific performance, which you guys are kind of familiar with at this point in time. The other types of remedies in equity that are available to people are, let's see here, let me find it. Boom, boom, and right there, number 10. Equitable remedies. Let's go back one more. We talked about specific performance. Let's go on to rescission and restitution. Rescission, we talked about that before as well. Undoing a contract, having the people take steps back and walk away from the agreement. Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave as we walk away, putting the parties back to where they were at status quo ante. That's undoing it. And the courts will do that as a matter of equity for the parties if that's what they want. Okay, you get your money back that you gave, you get your widgets back that you provided, we undo the contract, we rescind it. That's one type of remedy in equity. Another one is restitution. Restitution is returning the money or the property back to each party as well. Usually it's the money or the property back to the non-breaching party. The breaching party probably didn't do anything, so he or she doesn't get anything. But that's restitution. Please give me back what I'm out of this contract, what I gave, what I put into it. That is restitution. Again, a remedy in equity. The text also points out that restitution is not limited to rescission and restitution kind of combined. You can just get restitution. Let's see. Yeah, those are the two other types of equitable remedies. So we covered specific performance, we covered rescission, we recovered restitution, and another type of remedy in equity is known as reformation. That's when the contract might not have everything that's in it. The two parties forgot something, didn't include everything, and so there's a potential breach involved here. And what the courts will do, they want contracts to succeed, and so they will reform and rewrite the contract to reflect, hopefully, the parties' true intentions. And that might be used in cases where there's some type of fraud or mutual mistake of a material fact. It might be when the contract incorrectly states the party's oral agreement, there was some type of mix-up there, or it might salvage an agreement that might include an unlawful or incorrect provision, like a covenant not to compete. If it can be surgically removed and the contract can still be performed, the courts will help out in that area as a matter of equity and help the parties in those areas. Okay, so those are the other types of equitable remedies, which moves us on to another type of thing that you have some familiarity with, a quasi-contract, recovery-based in quasi-contract. Quasi, a fancy schmancy term for as if. That's when there's no real contractual agreement, but the courts will behave as if an agreement exists to prevent unjust enrichment by one of the parties. So again, the key thing to remember is in quasi-contract, which is also a remedy in equity, that's when no contract exists. Let's go back to my original hypothetical weeks ago, where I'm standing in front of the store with my bucket and my squeegee, and the guy's inside. I hold up my bucket and squeegee. Hey, can I wash your windows? And the guy looks up as he's sweeping, looks back down. I take that as a yes. I wash the windows. He doesn't stop me. At the very end, I ask for my money, and he says, "What money? I'm not paying you anything. We didn't have an agreement." And technically, he's right. But if I don't go to the court and seek a remedy in quasi-contract, he will be unjustly enriched as a result of me washing his windows. So the court will take a look at that, and as long as I didn't intentionally behave badly, or I'm not trying to pull a fast one here, if I reasonably believe there was a contract and he's going to be unjustly enriched if they don't step in, they will award a remedy in quasi-contract. There's 4 essential elements. It's listed on page 349. The party has conferred a benefit. I've washed the windows. The party conferred the benefit with a reasonable expectation of being paid. Yes, I did. The party did not act as a volunteer in conferring the benefits. No volunteer work here. And the party receiving the benefit would be unjustly enriched if allowed to retain the benefit without paying for it. And so I hit all those marks. I get my remedy in quasi-contract. Those points are also on the PowerPoint slide there in front of you. So that will help you to hopefully remember all the necessary elements to quasi-contract. There is a good summary of remedies in equity. It's on a chart on page 350 in the text. Good study tool for you to know and summarize the various types of remedies in equity that we covered. Another area covered in this particular chapter dealing with breach of contract are situations in which a person, one of the parties to the contract, might agree to waive the breach. Well, what does that mean? Well, a waiver is a known relinquishment of a legal right. And that's when the non-breaching party agrees to, for whatever reason, accept less than, say, substantial performance under the contract. They didn't do as they did, but, I'm willing to live with it, and I'll waive this particular breach, this particular part of the contract. And, well, the consequences for doing that is that, well, you could... You're not going to get all that you're entitled to, but for whatever reason, you're agreeing to waive that breach. Now, one thing we need to note is that you're just waiving that one particular breach. If there's ongoing different types of little breaches that continue to happen, doesn't mean you've waived those breaches as well. It does not operate to waive subsequent breaches. The only exception to that is when there is some type of pattern of conduct that the person is regularly doing this, and I am, effectively letting it go every single time. Again, for whatever reason, I don't know. But until I put a halt to that and say, okay, no mas, no more, the waiver of the breach will continue on my part. So we need to make sure that if you are waiving the breach and that continues to do so, that you do shut it down if you want that to be the case. So that's all covered on pages 349 and 350 of your text. Hopefully that covers it and explains it for you. The next area is contracts limiting liability. Contract provisions limiting liability. The first kind that's listed are exculpatory clauses. We touched on that previously. That's on a page, I believe, let's see here. I have listed down 272 through 274. Exculpatory clauses, that's where the one of the parties says, no matter what happens, if something goes bad, even if it's intentionally or negligent on the part of my people, I'm not responsible. Exculpatory clauses that are broadly worded like that are usually not held to be enforceable by the courts as a matter of public policy. We don't want people to sign off their right to sue somebody or for people to get out of their liability for being sued if it involves a bad act, intentional bad act, or negligent act. So if it does not include stuff like that, it then usually falls in the category of a limitation of liability clause. It affects the it will not include liability for fraudulent acts or intentional acts or illegal acts or negligent acts. It will not. Those won't be enforced by the court. A provision that does exclude liability for negligence on the part of a person may be enforced if the parties have equal bargaining power, but you got to keep your eye out on that. The courts will take a really, really close look at that. They don't want to let people off the hook if they're negligent in a limitation of liability provision, unless, again, there's a good reason to do so, which would be equal bargaining power. So, that's reviewed on page 351 of the text, and hopefully that covers that for you as well. I really try to cover these very quickly, and I apologize that I'm not able to be as in-depth as we would normally be in a class, but the consolation for that is that you can review this video as many times as you want, and you can go over it and track it with the text, and hopefully it will all make sense. So that pretty well wraps up Chapter 19. And once again, this is for week 13 of the class. And the latter part of week 13, April 16th, will be test number 4, covering chapters 15 through 19. Good luck to all of you on that test. And the next time we get together, we'll be looking at a whole new bunch of chapters 36 through 40 in the text, our last segments of this class for business law. Thank you, and again, good luck on the exam coming up on April 16th.